At the start of our story, we see an old man coughing and muttering, "I am an earthling from a civilized society. I came from a civilized society." Just then, a little girl enters his home carrying food. Seeing him in such a condition, she says, "Mr. Seo, are you okay? My mother sent this for you." We learn the old man's name is Seo. He thanks the girl. As she places the food on the ground, she replies, "It's not a problem. Please get well soon and make more soap." With that, she leaves, walking back toward her home through the snowstorm. This old man, Seo, once a CEO, is indeed an earthling and inhabitant of a highly civilized world. It has been 50 years since he fell into this cursed realm. He and several company employees, including Director Kim, were on their way to a workshop when a sudden landslide swept them away. When they awoke, they found themselves in a bizarre world, one filled with towering, three-tailed foxes, massive two-headed snakes, and sword-wielding warriors who soared through the sky. It was like one of the martial arts novels Seo occasionally read. Most of his colleagues adapted surprisingly well to this new world, except him. Among the 7 who fell into the martial world that day, their destinies unfolded rapidly. Within just 3 days, ethereal, sage-like beings descended from the skies and were astonished by his colleagues' mythical talents. Each of them was taken away except for Seo and Director Kim. They had hoped that they too would be chosen or discover some hidden ability. But neither had any unique talent. With no knowledge of this world, they could do little else but manual labor. For 6 months, they worked menial jobs in a bustling marketplace just to eat. Then one day, Director Kim had enough. He spent all his savings on a third-rate martial arts manual sold on the street. Everyone mocked him, but within 3 months, he had mastered it and became a full-fledged martial artist. He told Seo that he couldn't keep living like this and spent all his money on a third-rate martial arts book being sold on the streets. Everyone laughed at him. But within 3 months, he mastered it and became a full-fledged martial artist. He served the nation and continued learning increasingly advanced martial arts. After becoming a powerful warrior, Director Kim departed for the Jianghu, leaving Seo behind. Seo simply wished that something special might happen to him too. But in the end, nothing ever did. After 50 years, he is now merely an old man dying from a simple cold. He coughs up blood, repeating that he is from Earth. He did his best to survive. He learned the language, learned to read and write, worked as a laborer to earn a living, bought a small piece of land, and built his own house. He started earning some decent money when he began making soap using lye. In this medieval era, soap was practically a new concept. However, even that came to an end when some thieves stole his soap-making method and began producing their own. These thugs forced him out of the market. Now, he waits for death, having been rejected by this world. A frustrated CEO questions the world. "What do you want from me? Even though I gave it my all, what more must I do?" He begins to cry, wondering why he couldn't have been chosen, even if he wasn't special, and why he keeps losing everything. Now, Seo no longer has the strength to keep his eyes open. As they begin to close, he wishes that if he just had a little more power, maybe, just maybe, he could have had more chances. Lying in bed, sick with a cold, his life comes to an end. That was how he died, and how, bathed in a bright light, he opened his eyes once more. He slowly looked down at his body. It wasn't a hand covered in wrinkles and lines. It was a young hand, full of vitality and life. He was dressed in something clearly unlike the clothes of this world, the blue shirt and sweatpants he had worn back on Earth. He looked around, trying to make sense of the situation. Then he spotted Director Kim, Chief O, Section Chief John, Deputy Manager Kong, Deputy Manager O, and Manager Kim. Seo was stunned to see them. At that moment, he finally understood. He hadn't arrived in this world powerless. He had gained the power of regression. This was Seo's first regression. Director Kim, with half his hair shaved off, glanced around and asked, "What's going on?" "We were just heading to a workshop." He wasn't sure where they were, but Seo knew. This was the very first day. They had just arrived in this strange world. Seo recalled how they got here. They were in an SUV heading to the workshop when a landslide struck, and then something flashed. It was a memory from 50 years ago, so it was a little hazy, and even he couldn't remember it clearly. While he was thinking this, someone suddenly called out from behind, "Hey, Deputy Manager." But he was still lost in thought, wondering, "Now that I've regressed, how should I live?" In regression novels, people usually thrive using their future knowledge, but all I know is how to make soap. Suddenly, the man behind grabbed Seo's shoulder and shouted, "Manager Seo Yoon-hyun." Seo snapped out of his daydream at the shout. He turned around and saw it was Section Chief John. Seo said, trying to explain that he was slightly startled. But suddenly, with a swish, Section Chief John slapped Seo across the face. Everyone present was stunned to witness it. Section Chief John shouted, "Deputy Manager Seo, you bastard! You fell asleep while driving on the mountainside. You nearly got us all killed." Seo stood there, dazed by the slap. He had forgotten about this deputy manager title. It was a title he hadn't heard in so long that he didn't realize Section Chief Jien was talking to him. Section Chief Jien glared at Seo and asked, "Manager Seo, do you want to lose your job the moment we return?" Hearing that, Seo recalled the face he hadn't seen in ages, Section Chief Jien Myong-hun. He was the nephew of John Myong-kail, the executive director of the company Seo worked for. At just 32, he had already secured the section chief position through nepotism. When John Myong-hun was about to lunge at Seo in anger, Chief O stood up and held him back. He told Jan that was enough, since the landslide wasn't something Deputy Manager Seo could have done anything about. But Jan shouted again, asking, "Aren't you upset, Chief O? This crazy jerk was dozing off. That's why we're in this mess." Hearing that, Seo remembered that he really had dozed off while driving. But the reason he was so tired was because John had dumped all his work on Seo the day before the workshop, the tasks John had been avoiding, forcing Seo to stay up all night. Thinking back again, Seo also recalled that originally the person assigned to drive was John. He was the one who was supposed to drive. Pointing at Seo, John shouted, "The stupid bastard. We're stranded because of him." But Seo was gradually beginning to remember his memories from 50 years ago. Back then, Seo was so stunned he couldn't grasp what was going on. So, without thinking, he apologized to John. He even believed it was his own mistake. Then he spent the next 50 years just like that, constantly apologizing to people. Even when a group of bandits stomped over him and stole his belongings, when a damned martial artist insulted him, or when a regional official seized everything he had in the name of taxes, he kept apologizing. But there was one thing Seo came to realize after years of bottling it up. Sure, he had to control his temper in front of those he couldn't face, but not in front of everyone. Seo got up and, with a calm expression, said, "Section Chief John, I know you're upset, but this isn't the time to be blaming others." Hearing that, John became furious and charged at him. He punched Seo again, yelling, "Are you picking a fight?" That punch made Seo realize he didn't have to kneel before someone he could deal with. He turned back and punched John in the face, sending him flying. Watching that, everyone there was completely shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes. Seo kept punching John. In his previous life, Seo had been beaten by martial artists countless times. He was attacked by bandits while collecting herbs in the mountains, by more bandits during years of poor harvest, and even by officials because he couldn't pay his taxes. Now, Seo pinned John down, not giving him a single chance to fight back. Seeing this, everyone stood frozen in place, unsure of what to do. In that violent world, Seo managed to gain something the others didn't. He gained violence. When you strike someone in the eyes, their fear multiplies. And after a beating like that, only two words naturally come out of an opponent's mouth: "I'm sorry." Those were the exact words John spoke when Seo struck him in the eyes. Though Seo may not have the mythical talents mentioned by those transcendent individuals or the amazing martial arts that would make him famous in the martial arts world, he now did have the ability to change fate. Next part coming soon.